Hello everyone, welcome to CodeByte. My name is Veena. In today's lecture, we'll be talking about the fast API architecture. Now let's understand why do we need fast API? What are the uses of fast API? The API is a Python web framework for microservices. That is your application programming interface. Why do we need fast API? It removes a lot of boilerplate code. It handles your error handling, and there's always asynchronous communication and it does automatic. Whereas if you see before Fast API, we used to have a lot of manual documentation and there used to be a lot of boilerplate code and a lot of JSON and the validation is not proper and it used to be synchronous operation. So in order to avoid all this, Fast API was introduced. Architecture of the Fast API. We have a client application which sends requests to the endpoint. So the first layer that you hit in your fast architecture is the control layer where your routing of the API is happening. And then once your control layer is fast, then it goes to your service layer where you actually write your business logic and your database operations. And once the service layer is done, then we have the model layer. In this, we have all the entities of the tables defined. And then the service internally calls your database and then retrieves the models to the service layer. And then the response is sent to the control layer, which internally sends back to the client application. So this is the overall flow of how the fast API architecture works. Let's understand this through a working example. So for this, I have created a simple example. Now, any Python application that you want to create, we directly come here, do a new project, and then we define as a sample project or whatever project name that you want. And then you can define your Python version you want to execute. The Python virtual environment. So for any project, you always have to have a virtual environment where all your requirements will be installed. In this example, I already have created the application in order to save time. But I will be explaining you each and every step so that you can understand how a fast API can be built. Once I've created the project, then you have your main door. So this is where your application will start executing. And your first starting point would be from the main, wherein you go, and this is the host that you want to configure. That is your local host where it's running. And the port is 8000. You can configure to other respective. And here you see you need to import the respective dependencies here, the import statement. And once your fast API application is created, then in this example, what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a simple employee operation, get the list of create an employee, update an employee, and delete an employee. Once the application has come up, then we perform run and we have created an API application. Then on startup, these employee objects has to be created in some sort of a database. All the table has to be created in some sort of database. So that is the reason on start of application, we're checking if the table is already created or we need to create the table. So method will take care of creating the database and also the table connection. So here, based on it is gonna create the all the tables that you want in the database. Once this is done, then we have application. So in this middleware, we can have your middleware, we can have middleware. Some sort of customization if you want to do on your, you can introduce that as your middleware layer and write all the customizations there. So for now, I have used middleware, which allows to make requests from different browsers. After this is done, I have routing. This is where your employee API, so this gets injected into the fast API. So if you see here router, here in the import statement in line 4, we have imported the employee APIs into the fast APIs. And you can provide this as some of the tags here that I will show you once you use the Swagger. And this is just simple routing information that I have done on calling this particular slash API when the application is done. Okay? Usually you should have your messages displayed like this. And the other similar API also, this is when you hit this particular endpoint slash help, you will see the status as healthy. So how this works is you have the URL that is the host followed by the port number slash and then followed by your endpoint slash health. So that time you would have the message displayed as healthy. So first let's check whether this is working fine. Let me start the application. So now my application is started and it says it's running on this. So when I click on this, I would see the same information as to what I had defined in the endpoint. So this is the endpoint that I have defined on slash. So here, whenever user is clicking on the slash, he has this information printed. And if in case you want to see what is printed on the help, we can just click here in the browser and just type help. So now you have the information printed as healthy, means the application has come. And the next thing that you want to do is, we have defined the router information for the employees. Now, what you want to do is, you need to check how this employee is done. So in the architecture that I explained, first we come across the controller. So this is the controller, employee controller that we have. In the employee controller, we have defined the meaning to say that you have your host followed by the port number and then followed by your API prefix that you want to hit this particular endpoint. And this is the controller. In the controller, we define a list of APIs that we want to call. So for example, when you click on slash employee, this is the post operation that we are doing. You want to create one employee object. So for creating one employee object, we have defined as employee, that is your request object. So if you take a look at the employee create, this is just one request object that you have created. Here we have taken the base of the superclass employee base, where we have registered the name, email, department, and salary. So what you can do is you can define your request, response, everything in this particular schema class. Like you can see here, this is the request object that creating. For different APIs, if you feel the need, there is different objects you want to create, you can just create request and a response here. And once this is done, your request object is formed, and then from the controller, it needs to go to your service class. So to go to the service class, we've already injected the injection of the service class here. Communication should also happen since the service class PHP does all the database related. You also need to have a database object created in your employee service. And this employee service object inject controller while we are creating an employee object. So you need two things. One is your request object that you need, and the other one is the service object that you need. The service object internally need the database object to perform the database operations. So once this is done, at the header level information, what is the type of response that you want to send it, and what is the status when the object is created, means the employee object is created, and just a summary as a note as to what this is actually doing, and the description if you want to include any information, APIs. So once this part is done, what we do is we call the service layer. So service layer has this create object, and then you will pass your request object here. And then you have your create employee. So in the employee, we already have an HTTP here. And then you are creating your employee object. You are adding that into your database. And once you have added that into your database, you have committed that particular employee object and you are returning an employee. So this employee is being returned. Employee object is returned as your response. All the endpoints that I have defined. So if you want to check the endpoint, you have to just type in the fast API IP followed by the colon port followed by slash docs. So this will give you the list of APIs that you want, where you can test all the that you have written. And there is one more thing in fast called a doc. So this will give you the information about what APIs will exactly do on the specification of if we take all employees. It will give you what is the response object and what are the required set of fields that it is sending as a response. And for create a new employee, this will give you a list of required request body, what are the fields that we need to pass. This is basically end of the API. If you want to go through the documentation of how each and every API is being defined, what are the validations that is being applied, what is the request, what is the response object that you want to have, you can just come here and click on the, you will get entire information. But this is document doc. You will not be able to test. You have to make use of the slash docs wherein you can test all the API. You see here the slash employees. This is a prefix in which we have created this particular endpoint. Now let's try to create one employee object. Let's create with some values and let me click on the execute. When I say execute, now here employee created with the status as 201 and then the response body is the list of information that was being stored in your database. Now we want to see how employee object is created in the database. So for that, what we need to do, connect to the SQL. So now I've used the in-memory database that points to a file called DB. Let me show you that configuration as to where I have done. This path employees.file present. You want to get connected through the command employees DB, and then you will have to use a command called table. Now you see the employees table is already created, but if we want to retrieve certain set of information, we have to use select from employee. So currently, this was one employee object that created, and that information is present in this particular employee table. So let's go ahead and create one more employee object to see how it actually works. So this is one more employee object that I've created. You can see here updated is null means I have not updated any of the employee objects. That's the reason you see it null. But you see the object that has been created maps to the exact time as when we created. Next we have endpoint to retrieve all the employee details. So if you look at the code here, this was about creating the employee. Now let's see how to get the information. You have the router defined here, the particular endpoint. Here we are retrieving a list of employees. So that is the reason we have list of response. And then summary and description you can mention you want. And when you click on the service get employees object, here what we're trying to do is we will execute on the table employee and you're returning all the results of that particular table. The same thing you can see in this API as well. So when I click on get and when I do try it out, execute this, I should be able to see the two employee objects that I've created. And similarly, if you want to see a specific employee object, this is about the list of employees that is present. But if you want to see a specific employee details, we have one more endpoint. This has to be specified as a pub because this is a resource identifier which is uniquely able to identify a particular employee object. And that is the reason we should be having this as a. And similarly, in the response model, we will not have list of employee response because it is a single object that we're trying to retrieve. Hence, we have employee here. And then when you click on this particular employee, you will be able to retrieve the information from the database. If the ID matches, then it will display the results. If the ID doesn't match, it will return as null. And then in your control layer, if there are no employee object received, then we display the status as employee. If the employee is, we will return the employee object. So let's test that. Let me give an ID as 1. This was the object that we created, hence we let us try to either which is not present. Now we get an error saying is not found. And this is about getting the employee details. Let's try to check. We do it, update the employee object. So for the employee object, we have taken, these are the fields that you can update: name, email, department, and salary. This is a request object that gets passed. And once that is passed, you pass the request object along with the, I told you this employee ID is an identifier. It should be presented as and along with that, you would pass your request body. And then you will do update employee. In case of update employee, first we need to see if the employee is present or not. If the employee is not present, then we return as null, which we correspondingly display as the employee not found. If the employee is found, then what we do is we will update all the field information. We will have to do a commit and return updated employee. The return updated employee. So in this example, let me take 1. Let me modify. Let me execute this. So now the employee object has been updated. So how do we verify this? You can use the same ID and you can check your have been updated. And this is about put. But the only thing that you have to note about put is if you want to update all the fields of an employee object, then go for put. If you want to update only specific fields, then you will have to go for patch. Patch will update certain fields only and not all the fields. Whereas in case of put, it's going to update all the fields. And even though if you haven't given any fields, it would override as null. So you have to be careful when to use put and when to use patch. See, the next thing is about deleting the. Similarly, how we did for update, we have a similar endpoint for delete as well. In case of deleting an employee object, we do not return any response. We just return a response saying in the header information. And we should not be passing any response in case of deleting. So similarly, for delete, we will have to pass the employee. And when you click on the service, it will check if that particular employee ID is present. If it is present, it would go ahead and delete that particular employee. So if you click here now, let's click 1. Now the employee got deleted. The same thing you want to verify in your database as well. So now just execute the same. First ID has already got deleted. Now we see only one present. The same thing when you type an invalid record which is not present, it should be able to tell you employee is not. So this is about the operation of how a fast API can be developed. The one thing that you need to note is all the controller, we are making use of communication that has to be represented using async keyword. And also, when that particular method is getting called internally, it has to use, it means to say that this asynchronous communication and this method will be paused till it gets the response from method. And it doesn't block you from executing any of the rest of the other APIs. Whereas if you make use of sync, it blocks you from executing the other APIs that you have written. So that is the reason you should always have asynchronous communication. So this is one thing you will have to remember. Last, I would like to explain the structure as well. So this is your control layer. And this is where your database operation should be specified. This is where your middleware layer should be mentioned. Like, for example, you have the, and then this is where your entities have to be defined. And the schema is nothing but your request and response object in this particular package. And the service has to be defined in your service class. And the utility here, I have added some sort of a custom saying is an employee is not what should be. If an employee exists, what should be some sort of a custom exceptions in the exception classes. In the utility, you've seen that there is a common functionality that can be used across the entire application. You can define that in your utils. And at last, this is your list of requirements that needed to run this particular application. Use a command called pip freeze requirements txt. So you will get updated with all the list of requirements that are needed to run this particular application. And the last thing that you want to do is you have to create unit for all the endpoints that you have written. I have in-memory database for the testing. Go to how this works. We have to use a fixture in order to test. And then we are trying to do same HTTP layer in order to in-memory testing. Then once this is done, these are the certain endpoints that you want to test. Here you define the list request that you want to send. And you want to test your methods, those endpoints with the request object. Then you can check how the response object is performed, if it is returning the similar results or not. Similar way, you can test for all the, so currently what I've shown is the post. And you can check for all the validation error that happens for your input. Similarly, you can test all your get, post, delete, put APIs and let me know if you have any difficulty in understanding this. As a next step, you can take the GitHub repo. I will be checking in. You can create a feature, whatever the endpoints that you have tested. We have to log this at some point, how this endpoint is making and failure. So currently we have not added any log statement. So you can just inject as a middleware. You can write a file here as a middleware. And then you can inject your main dot wherever you need that. And lastly, I have created this document where I have captured all the steps as to how this needs to be run and what are the Python that should be for getting this executed. You can just follow these statements and let me know for any issues. I think I have mentioned it as Postgres. It's not Postgres. It should be that we are currently using. I will be updating the file. You can follow all the list of and let me know if you have any difficulty in understanding this application. I think this is about the fast architecture with a working example. Let's meet next week with another new topic. Thank you for watching.